Being a spiritual entrepreneur isn't always about flow and ease. It's about deep learning, effort, and sometimes a lot of discomfort. But here's the truth. If you want to succeed, you need to drop the hustle mentality and embrace something far more powerful called inspired action. So let me ask you this. Have you ever felt along your journey that the journey of being a spiritual entrepreneur or an intuitive entrepreneur should feel effortless, only to find yourself facing far more challenges than you thought you would, that push you outside of your comfort zone? Here's what most people do not talk about and tell you. It's not about hustling, it's about waiting for the divine downloads to come through. And inspired action is where the magic happens. And that often means stepping into that discomfort. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how to find that sweet spot so you can take aligned action without burning out and create the business or the life that you actually truly desire. So let's break it down. What does it actually mean to be a spiritual entrepreneur? And why is it so different from what most people think? When I first started, on this journey, I thought that spiritual entrepreneurship or being a spiritual business owner would be easy and fun. And then I discovered this huge, gigantic, enormous amount of learning that there was for me to do. And the effort and the energy that it took just to do a simple challenge launch, which was one of the first launches I did back when I started at the end of 2019, 2020. And it was exhausting, to say the least. I definitely learned one thing from being in the deep end of this journey that I wish I had back then when I started out. And the one thing that I did want was a roadmap or a guide or somebody to tell me exactly what this journey looked like, and the challenges that you might face and how you overcome them. And that's why I decided to make this video, because you don't need to go on this journey blind like I did. I'll give you the roadmap. So here's what that experience taught me over the past 4 or 5 years, and what every spiritual entrepreneur needs to know. First, I want to talk about learning and effort. It's easy to think that because you're aligned with your purpose and because you know, okay, this is my mission, this is my vision, this is what I'm going to do, that everything should just flow effortlessly. But the reality is, being a spiritual entrepreneur requires constant growth. I am constantly growing and constant learning. There is no end to the amount of learning that you will come across. I've had so many months and years even of mastering just a new platform. If you name it, I have been on every platform under the sun that you can think of online. So I've done Teachable, Udemy, Kajabi, Standstore, Squarespace, FEA Create, and then understanding the sales funnels, email marketing, designing thumbnails, or marketing prints. I've done it all and I've learned it all, and I continue to still learn new platforms, new sales funnels, because all of this, again, it takes a lot of effort, but it's so crucial for my growth, because without any of those things, I would not be able to teach now my spiritual entrepreneurs who are coming into me for my masterminds or my clarity sessions. I am able to guide them because I've done that work for them also, essentially, right? And the same was with my social media. So again, growing TikTok to over 12,000, and then Instagram to over 10,000, that they are two different platforms with two different algorithms of their own. And again, my podcast or this YouTube channel, everything grows very differently. So you might be huge on one channel because of a certain video style that you did or the certain content that you created. And then on another channel, that piece of content doesn't perform as it does on another platform. And so you need to figure out, okay, how does this platform work? What should I be doing on this platform, etc. And again, what type of content resonates, and you have to be willing to change and adapt accordingly. Can you think of something that you've tried to learn recently that felt uncomfortable at first, and you felt oh, this is hard, I don't think I'm ever going to get it. But then essentially at the end you get it, and then it feels so rewarding. This is what it takes along this journey of spiritual entrepreneurship if you want to continually grow into your best and highest self. And I want to share that with you because I didn't realize this at the start. I just thought it's just a business, and I went in very masculine energy, very what society tells you a business is. But the spiritual entrepreneurship journey, and any business owner who is coming in from a spiritual place knows, or along the journey they'll understand, that actually business is the biggest way to expand yourself if you allow yourself to. And that's why most people quit as well, because there is so much growth along a business journey that you don't get in schools and in normal 9-to-5 jobs. You have to push yourself to another level, because all that you've got is yourself, and you are wearing all the different hats that normally a business, a company that you work for, has different departments in. And so you're not just doing one job, you're doing multiple jobs. And so that requires multiple skills, multiple sets of learning and multiple areas of growth, right? Can you think of something that you have had to learn recently that felt uncomfortable at first, but was ultimately rewarding eventually once you got there? This is literally what it takes along this journey if you want to continually grow into the highest version of yourself. And I want to share that with you because I didn't realize this at the beginning, or like even in the middle of my journey, and that acceptance can really help you just create that success much more faster, because you're then not fighting with it in resistance and going like, oh, I can't be bothered to learn this, like, oh, I don't want to do this, oh, it's too much effort. Because you embrace it wholeheartedly, because you know that this is the only way forward. So you're like more likely to get that success quicker, and you don't waste years like I did. And this brings me on to my second point of clearing up the biggest misconception that no hustle or anti-hustling doesn't mean no action. So when I say we don't hustle, we do inspired action, it means aligned action, right? Inspired action is like planting seeds in like a fertile soil. It requires a bit of effort, but it's not forced effort. And so you're allowing things to happen naturally. You're allowing the sunlight to feed it. You're allowing the rain to allow it to nourish and drink. And you might sometimes sprinkle a bit of water onto it to make sure that it's okay and that it's still growing, but you don't force it. Go drink this water and grow right now and give me an apple. Like trees can take years to grow before it bears the fruits. And so this is literally, you know, when they say bears the fruits of your labor, it's bearing the fruit of your efforts and inspired action of planting that initial seed. And so you understand that it takes a lot of sunlight, water, oxygen, and plenty of time. And that is the key here. If you understand that it takes plenty of time, then in one of my previous videos, I talked about the mindset of long-term versus short-term. I'll probably link it up here so you can go and check it out. But in that video, this is the long-term abundance mindset of it takes time to see fruits of your effort sometimes. And when you understand that you've got plenty of time to give to your business, it changes your whole world of business, right? Because you're not looking for short-term rewards, short-term fruits, if you like. You're just watering it and continually to grow that seed until eventually it will become a tree and it will bear fruits. But you have to be okay with it not bearing fruits for a very long time, and you just pouring your love, your effort, and your intuitive, actionable steps into it, essentially. And I'll give you an example because I've done both. I've done the hustle action of forcing action and inspired action in my business, and they both gave me two very different results. And I'll show you exactly what that looks like so you understand where I'm going with this. But for the hustle action, that looks like forced action. In my head, so again, this is all head-based, I would get in and I'd say, okay, I want to build a business and make money. And I would sit and I'd get pen and paper and I'd brainstorm and I'd force my mind because nothing was coming through naturally that I wanted to do. So I'd brainstorm, I'd be like, okay, what ideas could I do? And then I'd come up with ideas of, okay, I could create a vegan food store because I was like vegan at the time. And I was just like, oh, this could be quite fun and people love my food. But I wasn't passionate enough to see it through. So then that flunked. And then I had an idea of becoming a wedding planner, and I was like, oh, I like events, let me do a wedding planning business. So I wrote that down and then I started working towards it, and I thought, nah, this is not it. And so nothing would work out. And then this was because I was forcing it. But then one day I had an inspired action, and this happens when the thought randomly plonks into your head. It randomly lands into your head. And I had this thought of, oh, Janie, how fun would it be to teach astrology on Instagram? Like all these other memes that I'm seeing, like there's astrology memes where they're just like Geminis are like two-faced, or Aquariuses are like geniuses, or whatever it is. And I'm just like, let me teach my real insights into people, because this is what I've done forever for fun. And it would be really fun to just teach it. And that idea came out of nowhere, right? And when I say nowhere, it's obviously the universe channeling, and you're connected intuitively and you're listening to intuition. So obviously that's what was happening, but I didn't know it at the time. And so I listened then. So then I took action. So that was the intuitive nudge coming through. Then I created an Instagram account called Star Signs Unraveled back in 2019. Those of you who know me from this journey, from then, obviously it's evolved into Alchemy with Janie along the way, but Star Signs Unraveled, the rest is history. And that's the core difference, basically. I don't want to waffle too much on this, but that's the core difference between the forced action that I was trying to make something happen and it just wasn't happening because it wasn't the right timing and it wasn't aligned, versus that aligned intuitive nudge that came through, and then you take action. That's the stuff that will propel you so much more quicker, so much more faster to where you're meant to go if you listen to those intuitive nudges and take action on it, because you shouldn't have to force any of the action and it wouldn't feel like hustle because it's so exciting to you, because it's come through intuitive knowledge, intuitive wisdom. And the forced action is usually for external purposes, like you're usually trying to force something because a job is telling you to do it, or you're forced to in a way of like, I need money right now, so I need to come up with a way of doing it, but you don't actually love it and enjoy it, versus an intuitively led decision that sparks an entire whole journey of like just abundance and being looked after. Because if you're listening to your intuition, the universe is always going to have your back. That's a firm belief that I have, and so that is reflected in my reality non-stop. And so my entire journey from there, from Instagram with that intuitive action, has been the exact same way. And this entire business that I've created has been intuitively led. I do not force action. I don't create, like, TikTok, leaving Instagram and coming onto TikTok in 2023 was the intuitive decision that I made, and it grew like really, really quickly because it was intuitively led. Before that, a year before that, my partner mentioned TikTok and I just was like, nah, I'm not feeling it. And I stayed on Instagram, and that was the right timing. Again, divine timing is everything. And then again with YouTube, early this year in 2024, March, depending when you're seeing this video, of course, but March 2024, I decided, okay, I'm going to go all in on YouTube. I had already created the channel, but I didn't really throw myself into it. So 2024 March, I was like, I'm going to dedicate myself to just growing weekly YouTube videos, because there's a lot of depth that can be put into all of these videos, a lot more than short form content, and I can teach and educate a lot deeper on here. So again, every podcast, every single course that I create, every product is always created from an intuitive nudge. And until I get that nudge, I just sit and I chill and I read and I learn and I meditate and I visualize. And then suddenly when a nudge comes through, I'm like, okay, I'm back on it. So I have ebbs and flows, and that again is very normal. So I just wanted to mention that. So I want you to just think about a time where you felt aligned now, like when you took action from an intuitive place, if you've taken that action step, and how different did that feel from a space of like where you're trying to force something to work. Because like, let me know in the comments how it feels and how it felt to you, because I'd love to know if you felt this on your journey already, or if you're going to try it. Like, I just want to know. So that'll be really exciting. So finally, moving on to the discomfort I want to talk about. So again, with the inspired action, it doesn't always mean that it's easy, because again, when I did the Instagram post, it was like, oh, exciting, and then I got scared because all of these fears started to come up, and I was like, I'm stepping outside my comfort zone, because people might think I'm a freak, people might not accept what I'm saying, people might hate on it, or they might go, oh, that's not true about Gemini, or oh, that's not true. And all of these thoughts started coming into my head, and I was just like, I need to push this aside to do that inspired action step and to live the life that I want to live. And so in fact, like, true growth requires you to step out of your comfort zone. And so like, I had the most horrific stage frightening experience of my life, like this experience when I intuitively decided to give an astrology talk at a local psychic fair, and my mind kicked in 20 minutes before I had to give the talk. I had the tummy bug all of a sudden. I felt sick. I went to the loo like 4 times, and I was actually sweating with anxiety. Like, that's how nervous I was, and I thought I was going to throw up. So I went to my mum. I was like, I can't do this, because my mum was there at the time, and she was like, you can't, like, being my militant mother that she was like, you can't do that last minute and blah blah blah, you have to go and do it. So I was just like, she was my authority even back then, and I was constantly listening, and I was like, oh, okay, I need to do this. So I was just like, okay, I love talking this stuff. I have to get over my biggest fear if I want to do this, and I have to get over my big fear of being seen in the spotlight, and, you know, swallowing my own spit and judgment and fearing other people, like what they're going to say about me. And I just went and did it, and I was still shaking by the end of it, but by the end of it, I loved every part of the journey there, and everyone loved it in the audience as well, which was really, really nice. But most importantly, I would have not grown through that experience had I not pushed myself that day to do it, and I'd not be here. So I want you to normalize the discomfort of being very normal as part of a spiritual entrepreneur's journey, because not enough people talk about this, and it's all a key part to your success. You have to get uncomfortable to be comfortable. So I want to normalize discomfort being part of the normal process as part of your spiritual journey. If you feel uncomfortable, if you feel discomfort, that's a good sign that you're actually on the right path, okay? And if you do feel discomfort along your journey, during an inspired action step, or along the way somewhere, then just know that you are doing something right. And it's okay to feel scared. It's okay to feel anxious. It's okay to go to the toilet 4 times before giving your first talk. Like, it's okay. Like, I'm telling you this so that you're like, it's okay. Like, oh my God, she looks so confident. Like, people tell me all the time, they come up to me and say, Jenny, I love your energy. Oh my God, you're so confident on camera, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, but I wasn't always this way. And the only way I became this way was by putting myself through the shits, quite literally putting myself into that zone of, oh, like I hate this. And over again, I did so many talks in that year just to try and get myself comfortable. And again, this is something that I want to talk about as well, because it never gets easier. Every single talk that I did, even though I did it over and over, and it was pretty much explaining the same topic as well, I still had the anxiety. The anxiety never left me. So I want you to also understand that no matter how big you get, no matter how much times you do it, sometimes your personality type is such that it doesn't leave you because it's not your natural habitat, if you like. Like, I'm a hermit. So in human design, I'm a 6'2", which is my hermit side, but I'm also a role model. And so there's like a constant fight between me wanting to share wisdom and knowledge, but also wanting to hide and not be in the spotlight. And so there's this constant like fluctuation of emotional energy that comes through. And I just want you to know that that's also normal, and that you don't ever sometimes reach a point where it doesn't feel uncomfortable, and that's okay as well. So again, there's so many different personality types out in the world. I just want you to know that this is my norm, so it can also be your norm. And you have the power internally always to lead yourself through it and to get yourself onto the other side with an up level, which is what is required for your dream life. And so I just want you to ask yourself, like, is there anywhere that you can reframe your discomfort right now in your own journey to see if it's a stepping stone, and to see it as a stepping stone rather than a roadblock? And feel free to drop it in the comments as well, so that you start to claim it, like create an affirmation and pop it in the comments, so that once you've written it down, it can be a powerful way of your mind actually being like, okay, I've written it somewhere now, so now it's going to become a reality. And if you drop your affirmation in the comments, it might help somebody else as well. So again, just feel free to type away in the comments. So remember, your journey as a spiritual entrepreneur is about heaps of learning, taking lots of inspired and aligned action, and embracing discomfort as a catalyst for your growth. If you're ready to dive deeper into these concepts, I have created an abundance quiz with the 4 main archetypes of who you are along your journey on the spiritual entrepreneurship, and it helps you align your subconscious with the success that you need. And there's also an action plan there that will tell you the next steps. You can also book in a clarity session. I do clarity sessions which are open as well, depending on when you're looking at it. The links will be below. So you can get super clear on what your next action step is as well. And I'll catch you in the next video. If you haven't subscribed and liked this video, please do. Mwah.